Amy Atwater is an aspiring photographer who works in the tech department of a tourism magazine. She takes pictures of lovers and chess players and anything she finds interesting on her way to work. She comes across a man and his puppy sitting outside their flower shop. She tries to capture that moment while the man sweetly interjects that he's not the most eye-catching person to photograph. Amy comments that the setting was just perfect and encourages him to just be himself and continue what he was doing. He agrees and Amy takes beautiful pictures of him and his really cute puppy. Amy is now at the office and one of her bosses, Ben, sneaks up behind her to see what she's working on. He reminds her that she's not to make any changes to the layout, as it's not her job. Amy agrees, although a little disappointed. Ben then tells Amy to seize the moment. Amy's colleague, Penny, makes a joke about Ben's advice to seize the day and how it seems that their interpretation of seizing the day means that you must not make any decisions for yourself. Amy laughs at that and complains about the current layout the magazine uses and how bad the pictures are. Penny responds that their pay and benefits are not great either. She informs Amy that the magazine's lead photographer broke her leg on a skydiving assignment, and so the magazine is looking for others to fill her position. Amy decides to take Ben's advice and seize her moment. She picks up her portfolio to walk into her boss's office to showcase her work so that she can replace the photographer who was injured. Penny does not think it's the best idea. Amy argues that she's a great photographer. She refers to herself as energetic, hungry, and willing to go the extra mile. Penny is still not convinced. She thinks that taking the assignment to photograph nature is a deviation from what Amy is familiar with, which is photographing people, and that is risky. Amy will not be dismayed. She shrugs off Penny's opinion and walks into her boss Camilla's office. Camilla is on the phone trying to get an experienced photographer to fill the vacant spot. Amy asks that Camilla consider her for the position to photograph waterfalls. Amy is just about to explain that she is energetic, hungry, and wants to go the extra mile when Camilla excuses herself to quickly pick up a phone call. On the call, Camilla says she does not care for someone who is hungry, energetic, and who wants to go the extra mile, but someone who knows what they're doing. Amy quickly realizes that her initial script is now compromised and instead shows Camilla her portfolio. Camilla appears pleasantly surprised at how good Amy's pictures are, but she believes that Amy takes great pictures of humans and can showcase their personality in these photos. But nature photography is a different ball game. Amy says she thinks waterfalls have personalities too, and they just need someone who can see this to capture it in a photograph. Camilla is quite impressed by that sentiment, and decides to give Amy a shot, saying that someone was crazy enough to give her a shot as well and she's never looked back ever since. The assignment is on a provisional basis as she tells Amy to photograph the first waterfall, and send it in, and if it's impressive, Amy can stay on. Camilla goes into detail, stating that some of the waterfalls that she is expected to capture have never been photographed. She names the mythical Redwood Falls as the biggest priority on the list of waterfalls that Amy must capture. Amy assures her she will get it and walks out of Camilla's office very excited. Amy stops by the florist shop and is in high spirits as she hands him the pictures she took of him and his puppy earlier in the morning. The man happily receives it and mentions that it is the best photo anyone has taken of him and his puppy, and is willing to pay for the photograph. Amy says it is free of charge and walks away still clearly excited about what had happened at work. Amy drives to the lodge where she'll be staying while she works, walks into the reception area, and confirms her booking with the receptionist, Leo. He lets her know all the activities she can do while at the lodge, and he mentions checking out the waterfalls. Leo suggests she start with the closest, smallest one, Susie Falls, hands Amy a map and explains the directions to her, saying it's impossible to miss or get lost. Amy goes up to her room in the lodge and is quite impressed by it. She gets right to work and picks out suitable clothing for the waterfall. Despite being armed with a map, trail markers, and Leo's description, Amy somehow manages to get a little lost. She asks a passerby who is hiking the trail as well, and she is directed to walk back half a mile. Amy finally finds Susie Falls and she openly jubilates about her success. She immediately begins to take pictures of the waterfall, completely oblivious to the tourist group that is already present at the site. She catches the attention of the tour guide, Mark North, who excuses himself from the tour group to speak to Amy. He comments about how he's never trusted anything on sale. He explains to Amy, who is now confused, that he can't be sure if things are put on sale because they are out of season, poorly made, or the seller had too much of the product. Amy, still focused, politely responds that she will keep that in mind next time she's shopping. Amy is completely oblivious to the fact that she has a sale tag still attached to her shirt. Mark grabs it to yank it off and startles Amy in the process, but when she realizes what he's yanked off, Amy responds, slightly embarrassed, that the shirt was purchased at an end-of-the-season sale. Mark's daughter, Kyra, walks up to meet them and comments that her father Mark should not make any embarrassing dry dad jokes. Amy responds that Mark started with a bad dad joke off the bat. Mark, in his defense, says that some people consider him funny. Mark introduces himself and his daughter, Amy, likewise. Mark asks Amy what she thinks about the waterfall. Amy thinks it is beautiful, but existing pictures do not do any justice, but she intends to change that. To Amy's surprise, Mark says that the waterfall is temperamental and that all waterfalls have distinct personalities, and just needs someone to recognize and capture it. Amy asks and Mark gives her pretty straightforward directions to get back to the lodge. Amy heads back and manages to take the exact opposite turn from what Mark directed. She goes in a complete circle and ends up right back at Susie Falls. Amy refuses to admit that she got a little lost. Instead, she insists that she continued taking pictures as she found better lighting. Mark and Kyra are not buying it, but they humor Amy and offer to walk back with her to the lodge. As they leave, Amy continues to insist that she didn't get lost, as she already knows her way and simply needs the company. As they walk back to the lodge, Mark advises Amy to get more comfortable shoes and Amy says she'll keep it in mind, especially if she's going to find Redwood Falls, and asks if Mark has heard of it. Mark responds by calling Redwood Falls a myth and stating that it does not exist. Amy thinks that the locals only tell visitors that it does not exist, so that they don't go looking for it. Mark insists that no one has seen Redwood Falls as it is a myth. Kyra then comments about the camera that Amy uses, to Amy's surprise. Kyra says she loves photography but her dad says the camera is too expensive. Mark responds that it is indeed expensive. Amy gives Kyra a go at the camera and quickly shows her how to work it. She takes a few shots of Mark, and then a hummingbird that flies by. Amy is shocked by Kyra's natural talent for photography as the hummingbird was captured perfectly. Kyra wishes she has a better camera while Mark thinks her phone is sufficient for the moment. Amy agrees, saying it is not a matter of what she takes pictures with, but who takes the pictures, as the professional camera is quite expensive, but it has cool features like geotagging which helps a person remember where they took a picture. Kyra would like that but Mark is not having any of it. As they arrive at the lodge, Mark points Amy to the place where she can find comfortable shoes, and playfully asks her if she can find her way as she seems to get lost pretty easily. Amy jokes that although she might struggle, she'll be okay. She will need help with finding all the other waterfalls, as her magazine is doing several articles on waterfalls. Mark suggests she stick with a tour group to make sure she does not get lost again. In her room, Amy peruses the pictures she intends to email and she pauses to take one more look at the hummingbird that was photographed by Kyra. She also pauses at one of the pictures of Mark and smiles admiringly at his handsome features. Amy walks into the reception where Leo is informing other guests of the lodge about the open mic night coming up soon. Amy quizzes Leo about the possible location of rare, never-been-seen waterfalls. In hush-hush fashion, Leo informs Amy that Mark North is the best person to help her. He hints to Amy that if she's going to make any headway, it is best not to inform Mark that she was looking for rare waterfalls. Amy thanks him and heads out. Amy heads to the store to pick out a hiking shoe. She looks undecided, and Mark walks in and offers to help. He heads to the back of the counter and is approached by Tara, an ex-girlfriend of his, who also works in the lodge. Tara makes an effort to engage Mark in small talk. She says she hasn't seen him in a while. Mark says work seems to be taking up all of his time. Amy is a little curious about their conversation but plays it cool. Tara says she's looking forward to Mark keeping in touch, while he goes back to helping Amy, who has been waiting. He recommends a good hiking shoe and they get talking about group tours. Amy realizes that signing up for a group tour will not quite work for her goal of photographing waterfalls. She asks Mark for a private tour, but he insists that Redwood Falls is a myth, and the lodge does not offer private tours. Mark also states that he is booked up all week long. He does get days off but he chooses to spend that time with his daughter, unfailingly. Amy appeals to Mark to take her up on a private tour, for many reasons ranging from her inability to find her way most times and the possibility of being attacked by a bear, and being on a deadline. Mark responds with a joke that the grizzly bears in that area are no joke and Amy should get bear spray included in her order. As they leave the store, Amy reveals to Mark that she is on some kind of probation for this assignment, and she's been waiting for it for a while. Mark agrees to the private tour but on the condition that Kyra comes along with them, since it'll be his day off. The next day, they head out through the woods to the waterfall. Amy notices Kyra clapping her hands as she walks ahead of them, and she asks why. Mark says it's so that the bears know that humans are passing. Kyra announces she wants to walk further ahead of them and Amy wonders what the problem might be, as Kyra is a lot less chatty than she was when they first met. Mark responds that it might be boy problems. Kyra, who is 11.5 years old, likes a boy who does not seem to pay her any attention, and she thinks it's because she's not pretty enough. While Mark has tried his best to let her know that she's a beautiful young lady, he does not believe that what he says makes a difference. Mark and Kyra's mother split amicably when Kyra was quite little, but unfortunately, she travels a lot for work and is not present to instill the confidence Kyra needs. Amy advises Mark to listen to Kyra and be there for her. They arrive at Little Betsy Falls, and Mark asks Amy about the waterfall's personality. Amy asks Kyra if she would like to take the pictures to capture the waterfall's personality, but Kyra is in no mood to take photographs. Amy takes a few shots and comments about Little Betsy's personality while describing Kyra. Amy describes Little Betsy as proud, but dealing with insecurities. Amy says that Little Betsy does not realize how beautiful she is because she keeps comparing herself to the other waterfalls, how unique she is, one of a kind. To boost Kyra's confidence even further, Amy reveals that she submitted Kyra's photo of the hummingbird along with her photos of the waterfall. This put a smile on Kyra's face and lifted her spirits. On their way back, Kyra is now her usual chatty self, as she asks Amy how she got into photography. While Amy responds that her grandparents were a huge influence, Kyra sights a bear and announces this to the group. Using the available protocol, Mark and Kyra take off their backpacks, raise them over their heads, shaking them vigorously while yelling at the bear to go away. A terrified Amy, having never seen a bear so up close, initially freezes, but eventually joins in the chaotic bag shaking and yelling. The bear goes away and Amy playfully declares that she's peed in her pants. Mark points out that it worked only because it was just one bear. Amy tries to save face by saying she did not pee her pants and meant it as a joke. They make it back to the lodge. Amy wants to pay Mark for the private tour especially because it was on his day off. Mark turns it down, telling her to consider it a favor as it's something he enjoys doing. Amy wonders if they are going to Redwood Falls next and Mark still insists that it does not exist. At the prod of Kyra, Mark invites Amy to the bonfire night organized by the lodge for that evening. She can have some fun and meet new people. Amy is reluctant, but Mark and Kyra manage to convince her to come. At the event, Mark and his friend, Peter, notice Amy as soon as she steps in. As Amy walks towards them, Mark briefs Peter about how they met. He tells Amy that she looks nice, and Amy blushes in appreciation. Mark officially introduces Peter and he greets her with a charming kiss of her hand, makes some small talk, and politely excuses himself. Tara walks up with Amy and Mark holding 2 beers for her and Mark. Mark is thankful but says that she didn't need to, but Tara insists that she wanted to. Amy is confused about this awkward situation, as Mark introduces Tara as a tour guide also for the lodge. Amy and Tara exchange pleasantries and Amy asks for Kyra, who Mark points out is trying to be invisible as Kyra stands by herself staring into space. Amy excuses herself to go talk to Kyra, and Mark says he'll come to look for her soon. Amy talks to Kyra about the boy she likes, while Kyra plays the ignorant card initially. Amy helps her see that she was also once an 11-year-old girl and she understands what Kyra feels. At that moment, the boy Kyra likes, Hunter, passes and waves at Kyra, greeting her. Kyra shyly says hello in response. Amy encourages Kyra to go talk to Hunter as it must have taken a lot of courage for him to say hello, but Kyra simply cannot do it. She admits she likes him and wants to be friends, so Amy urges Kyra to go and talk to him, because life is too short to let these moments pass her by. Kyra agrees to go if Amy will accompany her, which Amy is happy to do. As Kyra talks to Hunter, he is called by a group of friends who would like to go to the new dock. Hunter invites Kyra to come with them, but Kyra turns that down. Hunter leaves with his friends, and Amy is wondering why Kyra did not go with him. Kyra does not think the offer meant anything, but Amy assures her that it's a sign that Hunter is interested in being friends with her. Mark lovingly watches the pair and decides to join them. Kyra excuses herself almost immediately to get a drink for Amy. Mark asks if Kyra is okay. Amy comments that she is fine and that she's an awesome kid. Mark says he can tell that Kyra likes Amy as well, as Amy is very likable. This makes Amy blush a little. Mark informs Amy about a tour group he's leading to one of the waterfalls that are difficult to get to, and Amy is interested. Mark asks her how she feels about heights, and Amy confidently claims she's fine if she's attached to something. The next day, at the edge of a ledge, Amy is panicking about jumping off. Mark tries to encourage her, while Kyra claims that it's easy. Amy responds that Kyra is only 11, but Kyra quotes Amy saying that life is too short to let these moments pass her by, as she jumps off the ledge. Amy is still panicking about the jump, and Tara also comes by and makes the jump. Amy panics a little more, but Mark encourages her with a little pep talk. To strengthen her determination, he asks if she would miss out on seeing the waterfall. Amy rolls her eyes and agrees to do the jump. Mark sets up her gear while Kyra cheers her on from the base of the ledge. They agree to jump at the count of 3, but Mark stays back and watches her go, completely in awe of how Amy jumped so bravely. Amy cannot believe how much fun it is and is completely ecstatic. Mark has to ask if she's never jumped before as she did it so well, and he tells her that he is proud of her. Amy thanks Mark for giving her the push she needed. Tara cuts in to say that the group needs to get going, in an attempt to ruin the moment. Amy feels so victorious after making the jump. At the waterfall, the big falcon, Amy describes its personality as being overconfident and a smooth talker. Mark wonders how she can tell all that from one photograph. Amy reveals that the right photo can reveal a lot about a person. Mark playfully asks that Amy never photograph him, and she quickly sneaks a candid shot of Mark. He begs to see the picture, asking her if he should shave. Amy replies that she likes the scrub while gently caressing his roughly bearded face. They both decide to join the rest of the group. Amy is back in her room at the lodge and is on a FaceTime with Camilla, who praises her for capturing beautiful pictures. Camilla, however, says that Amy needs to photograph waterfalls that have not been previously photographed, as the scope of the story is now expanding into mythical waterfalls. Amy says that according to her source, they are myths and do not exist. Camilla says that the locals only say that because they think they own the waterfalls, and also informs Amy of her new assignment in Santa Fe, as she is required to wrap up the current assignment in 3 days. Amy again mentions the hummingbird picture and asks that credits go to Kyra. Camilla asks her to send the info to Ben. Amy approaches Leo again and quizzes him about Redwood Falls. Leo, without naming any names, points to Mark as her best bet. Later, Mark and Amy are at a local gallery that showcases waterfalls. Although Amy does not think the photos are the best, she is inspired by them. Mark wonders how that is possible. Amy says it is because she has not seen that particular waterfall. Mark says that they are intentional about protecting. Back to the photos, Amy says that the personalities of the waterfalls have not been captured, and Mark agrees. He calls the waterfall by its name, Angel Falls, which surprises Amy as she thought it was also a myth. Amy pleads with Mark to take her there, and Mark agrees to take her only because he thinks that Angel Falls deserves better portraits. He agrees to take her if she won't tell anyone how she got there, and she goes out to see a crescent moon with him. She agrees and they head out. Amy takes in the scene and it makes her feel very far away from home. Mark suggests that she stay back a little longer, but Amy tells him a little unexcitedly that she is going on another assignment soon, as she got a promotion. Mark wonders why the excitement is absent. Amy admits that she would love to own the kind of gallery they had visited, as she would like to be an artist and pursue her passion fully. Mark thinks she should do it, just like she jumped off the ledge. He also asks that they continue the conversation on a canoe ride. Mark explains to Amy as he paddles the boat that he also had a corporate job once, but after his divorce, he came to this town to clear his head and he fell in love with it. He encourages Amy to know what she wants and follow through. Amy seizes the moment to ask him about Redwood Falls, and promises not to tell anyone if he knows it exists. Mark admits that it does exist and he found it by accident. He was out exploring south of Angel Falls. Thinking he was lost, he came upon 2 rocks twisted on each other. He had heard that following a compass at 212 from the twisted rocks, Redwood Fall would be found. 212 stuck in his mind because that's the temperature at which water boils. He followed that direction and found it. He sticks to his word to take Amy to Angel Falls but not Redwood Falls, and only if Amy would swear an oath as agreed. They playfully swear an oath as Mark gets a text message from Tara. Amy politely asks what the situation with Tara is. Mark explains that they went out on a few dates but it did not work out. He thinks they are better suited as friends, but even after explaining that to her, she does not seem to get it. Amy says she gets it and is thankful to Mark for bringing her to this beautiful scenery. Amy is talking to Penny on the phone, while packing her bags. Penny is shocked to discover that Amy went rock climbing. She informs Amy to keep up the good work as their boss Camilla is impressed. Amy tells Penny that she is packing because she is going on an overnight camping trip to one of the rarely photographed waterfalls. Penny is surprised by that information, and wonders if Amy is going camping by herself. Amy reveals that she is going with her tour guide who she thinks she has fallen in love with. She also worries about needing to leave in a few days, as she thinks she has found love at the wrong time and place. As they head out to Angel Falls, Kyra also heads out to a conservation program. Kyra is excited because she has been waiting a while to attend and also because Hunter will be there, as he waves at her. She hugs her father goodbye as Amy also bids her goodbye. As they walk into the woods, Mark claps his hand, which makes Amy laugh as she sarcastically says that the bears must be running away fast because of the clapping. Mark asks that they take a break. They talk about the influences of their grandparents on their current choices. Mark's grandfather used to take him camping, and Amy's grandparents influenced her decision to nurture her talent for photography. As they get up to continue on the journey, Mark spins Amy around playfully to ensure she can't remember her way in. They pick a campsite and Mark gives her instructions on what to do if she sees a bear, and prepares her for the potential terrors unleashed by mosquitoes. He then hands her a gift box. Amy finds a compass in it. He tells her sweetly that it will help her find direction, as it always points to him, north. Amy loves the thoughtful gift and replies that she always knows where to find him. They share some brownies and retire to their camping tents. They wish each other a good night, but Amy can't sleep a wink as animal noises and mosquitoes make her toss and turn all night. By morning, Amy claims she slept well but is yawning a lot, as Mark offers her coffee which she happily accepts. As they continue the journey, Amy comments about how Mark seems to know his way but jokes that she cannot make it out of her driveway without GPS. He spins her around again and blindfolds her as they are close to the waterfall, all of which Amy thinks is pointless as Mark gives her a compass. They arrive at the waterfall. Mark removes her blindfold and Amy is completely overwhelmed by the beauty she sees. She feels so lucky to see such beauty. Mark calls it his second most favorite place in the world. Amy can take pictures of the waterfall, but to get better angles, they both stand inside the pool water at the bottom of the waterfall and then eventually take a swim. Mark is so smitten that he kisses her cheek as they swim and play around in the water. They arrive at the lodge. Amy thanks Mark for sharing the location of Angel Falls with her. Mark says he trusts her. He also reveals that he's leading another group out the next day. They will be panning for gold, and invites Amy to join them. Amy accepts, and just as she excuses herself to go to send the pictures she just took, Mark informs her that there is a studio for lease that Amy can take if she needs a gallery. Amy confesses that she has been considering it and will think about it. The next day, the tourist group is panning for gold and Kyra finds some gold. Amy also eventually finds some too. Tara approaches them and asks if Amy still intends on leaving the next day. Mark says Amy will be at the open mic night as Kyra reveals that Mark can sing but hopes he will not. Tara mentions that she and Mark made duets and they were good at it. She bids the group goodbye as they all continue looking for gold. At the open mic night, Leo sings, mostly off-tune and off-key, as Mark reveals he sings that song every open mic night. The audience cheers as he finishes. Mark and Amy look around for Kyra, who is stuck at the snack table, too shy to say hi to Hunter. Amy offers to go help her. She tells Kyra that she is extraordinary, fearless, talented, funny, smart, and can do anything. Kyra takes this pep talk and walks right to Hunter, who immediately moves over for Kyra to sit beside him. Mark sees this and looks affectionately at Amy. As Amy makes her way back to sit with Mark, Tara beats her to it, as she jumps into the seat beside Mark. Amy reluctantly joins them, as Tara tells her to get ready for magic, urging Mark to the stage to sing. Mark agrees and goes to the stage with a guitar, while Tara sits at the keyboard. Mark opts to sing Over the Moon. Before they begin, he gives a shout out to Amy, calling her a good friend, an excellent photographer whose work photographing the waterfalls in their town will be great for the town, its locals, and the lodge. He asks her to stand up while she gets applause along with cheering. Tara is not clapping half as hard as the rest of the audience. However, Mark and Tara proceed to perform the song, while some of the audience get up to dance. Hunter also asks Kyra to dance, while Mark performs the song, staring at Amy the entire performance. And at that moment, Tara realizes that she does not stand a chance with Mark anymore. Back at Amy's office, Camilla, Ben, and Penny are in a meeting discussing the photos Amy has sent. Camilla wants to include the location of the waterfalls, but Amy did not turn on the geotagging feature on her camera. Ben reveals that they can still get that information somehow, and Camilla instructs Ben to get it and include it in the article. Penny objects, saying that Amy gave her word that the location would remain a secret, but Camilla is insistent on including the location. Penny says that leaving out the location will create more of a buzz as people will keep coming back for more. Camilla finally budges and instructs Ben to leave the location out. Amy wakes up to a notification on her phone. She excitedly opens her laptop to see her article on the website. Without further perusal, she gets out of bed. At the reception, Leo argues with Tara about Amy doing something, as he believes Amy would never do anything wrong intentionally, but Tara believes otherwise. Amy walks into the reception, asking Tara if she's seen Mark. Tara immediately accuses her of playing Mark to get the location of the waterfalls. Amy is confused and has no idea what that means. Tara tells Amy to read the entire article, and in doing so, Amy finds out that the location of Angel Falls was included in the article. Amy is dumbstruck as Mark walks in, sees her, and walks right back out. She goes after him to try to explain that she turned off her camera geotagging, but Mark is unbelievably upset because the location included in the article is so exact. He is concerned that people who do not treasure the waterfalls will come only for the pictures and leave trash littered everywhere as they come and go. He tells Amy that there is nothing she can do to rectify the situation, and walks away. Amy heads back to her room and calls her bosses, Camilla and Ben. They try to calm her down while they insist that it was an honest mistake on their part. Amy does not believe that because Camilla is extremely thorough. Ben takes responsibility and they encourage her to ignore the situation since she will be leaving soon. Kyra walks by and listens to some of this conversation. At the reception, Amy is getting ready to leave but stops by to say goodbye to Kyra. Kyra reveals that she is not upset with Amy, as she knows she did not reveal the location on purpose, since she overheard most of the call with Amy's bosses. Amy asks for Mark as she would like to explain to him what happened. But Mark is out guiding tourists and won't be back till noon. Amy has to leave but informs Kyra that her photo of the hummingbird made it into the article, with her name under it, and Kyra should be very proud of herself. Amy leaves for her car. As she sits in the car, she reaches into her bag and pulls out the compass Mark gave her. She then decides to go looking for Mark. Mark, however, returns to the lodge where Tara informs him that some persons arrived already to look for Angel Falls. Mark says he hopes that they respect it like the locals do and asks if Tara has seen Amy. Tara responds that Amy left, but Mark saw her car in the parking lot. Mark meets up with Kyra and Hunter, and Kyra explains that Amy didn't mean to include the location as her bosses tricked her. She tells Mark not to be mad at Amy, while Mark admits that he's having a hard time staying mad at her. He asks where Amy is, but Kyra says she left in the morning. Mark comments that her car is still in the parking lot. searching for her in her car, but finding only her belongings. They also search her room in the lodge. A search is launched for Amy, who is still hiking through the woods looking for Mark. Tara and Peter also join in the search as they communicate with Mark over the radio. On the other hand, Amy, who has lost her map but is oblivious to the fact, now happens to arrive at two rocks twisted on themselves like Mark explained. She brings out her compass, remembering the reference to boiling water at 212 degrees. She is excited as she tries to continue on the trail. Mark finds her lost map and it gives him a glimmer of hope that Amy is close. Amy has found Redwood Falls by herself and it is like nothing she has ever seen. It is so breathtaking that she is in awe. She sits down to photograph the waterfall but she pauses. Mark finds her and asks her if she got lost, and if she tried to photograph the waterfall. Without waiting for Amy to respond, he answers his question saying she could not take a picture. Amy describes the personality of the waterfall, saying she doesn't like her photo taken, as she is afraid it may steal her soul. Talking more about Amy, Mark responds that the waterfall has a good soul that would never do anything to hurt anyone. Mark wonders how she found Redwood Falls, and Amy responds by bringing the compass out, saying that Mark said he will always point her in the right direction. Mark radios that he has found Amy and they need a helicopter to get them back before nightfall. Amy does not want to rush back and Mark reveals he brought a tent that they can share. Amy asks Mark what his #1 favorite place on Earth is, and Mark reveals that it is with her. They share a loving kiss while the waterfall continues to cascade behind them.